Okay, welcome to this channel. What we have before us today is a code. What comes to your mind when you see something like this sentence, see you on the EU? Well, that's a mathematics code I use to solve angles between 0 and 360. Angles between 0 and 360. See you on the hill. See you on the hill. See you. Then this pattern that looks like you. These three elements helps me to be able to solve any angle between 0 and 360. Now let me explain something before we actually use the code. In angles, we have what we call quadrants. When you bring the Cartesian plane, you have the y-axis, you have the x-axis, and what you have automatically is called Cartesian plane. You have y and x-axis. This is x-axis, that is y-axis. Dividing the whole plane into 4 equal parts. We have angle 90 in between the quadrants. Now, I'll be mentioned, they fall under another quadrant entirely, but you can compare it with the number 1 quadrant. This is always the first quadrant. Now, if I'm given an angle in another quadrant, I will relate it with the angle in my own quadrant, in the quadrant where I'm used to. Now, this is the first quadrant, and this is where we are used to. This is what we are used to. Say 40, sine 30, sine 90. Whatever you can do with sine any number from 0 to 90, you can also do with others. Now, if I have, for example, you have sine 100. Actually, it has come to another quadrant. But it is the result is similar to the result of one of the angles in the first quadrant. If you have this one is 220 degrees. The result of this one, whether sine 220, tan 220, or cosine 220, the result is always similar to the result of a particular angle in the first quadrant. Or maybe you have 300 degrees. 300 degrees has the same result that is similar to the result of another angle in the first quadrant. So everybody in every quadrant has a representative or a similarity in the first quadrant. Wow, this is always confusing, but this CU on the EU will solve all those problems. Now let's begin with C. When you have Cartesian plane, the first thing you need to know is that there is C. And what does that mean? It means this is number 1 quadrant, and this is number 2 quadrant, this is number 3 quadrant, and this is number 4 quadrant. The C will guide you so that you don't make mistake of coming clockwisely. You have to go anti-clockwisely. So I make it C. You follow the path of the pattern C. This is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. The C here will help you to be able to, kind of name the quadrant accordingly. So this C is for naming ceremony of the quadrant so that you don't make any mistake. Now let's go ahead. When you have an angle, you need to know which is the quadrant, which quadrant contains the angle. Now if this is the first quadrant, this is the first, this is the first axis. and you have 0 degree here. If you move up higher, you can have 45 degree. If you move up higher so much, you can have 90 degrees. You go anti-clockwisely. Then if this is 90 degree, then this angle is 90 degree. There's another angle here which is also 90 degree. So 90 plus 90 will give you, by the time you get here, you have angle 180 degrees. And if this is another 90, you add another 90 to this one, and getting here, you arrive at angle 270 degrees. And if you continue that way and you come here, you have 90 added to 270, you have 360 degrees. So actually the code C will help you to know where to start from and how to name them and how to label them. This 0, 90, 180 degrees, 270 degrees. And by the time you come back to 0, you can make it 360 degrees. So sine 0 and sine 360 degrees will give you the same result. Cos 0, cos 360 will give you the same result. Tan 0 and tan 360 will give you the same result. Alright, let's go to the next code. When you have Cartesian plane, you want to know, because we mentioned that sine, cos, tan are present in all the quadrants. But in the first quadrant, some are positive. In the second quadrant, some are negative, while some are positive. In the third quadrant, they are not all positive. Some will be positive, some will be negative. In the fourth quadrant, they are not all positive. They are not all negative. So they share. Now, how do we know this? This is the code that helps us. U. Look at how U goes. Look at U. But remember, this is always the first quadrant. So it comes from here and it goes here. So U. Now, this is act. All of them, sine, cos, and tan, are positive. In this other quadrant, only cos is positive. In this other quadrant, only tan is positive. Then this quadrant, only sine is positive. Now look at it. When you take it this way, you have ACTS. That's act. Now look at the pattern. Act like a bowl. Now this code is acting like a bowl. You know, a bowl has this shape. So let's talk about acting like a bowl. Act like a bowl. Act like a bowl. So when you are coming, you come following the act in clockwise pattern. Act like a bowl. Clockwise. So that forms U. Now all is positive there. In that quadrant, only cos is positive there. That means sine and tangent are negative. In this other side, only tan is positive. Others are negative. And in this second quadrant, only sine is positive. The acronym ACT will help us to know that code. This code will help you. Now the third code is you have a Cartesian plane like that, divided into quadrants. And you see CU on the EU. CU on the EU. Now this pattern looks like EU. I'll draw it. You need to be careful here. It's technical. Now I'll put theta here. I'll put theta here. I'll put theta here. At the vertices, I'll put theta here. Now, for the first quadrant, it's just theta. When you talk about the angle, it's just sine theta, cos theta, tan theta. You just use theta directly. And you remember, the second code tells us that in this quadrant they are all positive. So anything you are doing here is plus sine theta, plus cos theta, plus tan theta. Now in the second quadrant, it's going to be 180 degrees minus theta. Whatever angle you are given in this quadrant, you subtract it from 180. Then it will be, plus sine this angle, minus cos this angle, and minus tan this angle. Because in this quadrant, only sine is positive. Now, the third one, there's space here. So it will be theta minus 180 degrees. See, this side is all about theta and 180 and theta. But the pattern will help you and guide you to know whether it is 180 minus theta or theta minus 180. With this pattern, you'll be able to get that known. The pattern, at the vertices, you have theta. So, if you have theta here, the space is on this side, so you put 180 minus theta. For the other quadrant here, the space is on this side. You put theta here, the space is on this side, so you have minus 180. Now, the last one, where do you put what you need to put? It will be in this space. It will be 360 minus theta. So that is how it goes. Now, these are the three codes you need to be able to solve any angle between 0 and 360. See you on the EO. Alright, let me quickly demonstrate that. Now, I'll have, for this quadrant, all is positive. So, sine theta, and everything is theta there. Cos theta, tan theta. Now let's get to the other quadrant. It's always 180 minus the angle given. The angle given, you will be given an angle. Then you use the angle directly in this quadrant. If after you have sorted everything out. Okay, I will give you an example to treat that. Now, in this other quadrant, only sine is positive. So, you have sine. And you are going to have 180 minus theta. Then the next one is, only sine is positive. The next one is, others are negative. So, you have minus cos 180 minus theta. Now, the last one is going to be minus tan 180 minus theta. 180 minus theta. For this quadrant, it's always theta minus 180. And remember, only tan is positive. So, you have minus sine theta minus 180. Theta minus 180. Well, cos is also negative, so theta minus 180. Only tan is positive, so you have tan. That is, you can have it without sign, or you put plus. Remember, in our previous video, the invisible neighbors of every number, we explain why we don't have to put plus here. If it is plus sign beginning a number, you may not have to put the sign. But if it is negative, if it is minus, it has to be there. Now the fourth quadrant, only cos is positive, so sine is negative. Only cos is positive, sine is negative, and tan is negative. Now, how do we undo the angle here? It's 360 minus the angle given. 360 minus theta. 360 minus theta. 360 minus theta. So, instead of cramming all this, you just need the code to express this. Then you can solve any problem. Let's solve problems now. Okay, we want to have some examples. Let's start with the one in the first quadrant. I want to talk about cos 60. Now 60 is an angle between 0 and 360. Now you have to find out 60. If you look at the quadrants, where do you have 60? 60 will be between 0 and 90. So we are dealing with the first quadrant here. So in the first quadrant, what do we do first? We have to know first quadrant is our cos, positive or negative. Okay? In that quadrant, it is positive. So it will be cos. Now, cos 60 is still cos 60. And if you look at cos 60, what you have is 0.5. You can check it up on the 4-figure table. You can check it up from your calculator. The cosine of 60 degrees is 0.5. Now let's have another one. Number 2, cos 240 degrees. Now the first thing you are going to check up, 240 degrees will be in which of the quadrants? Let's go back to our quadrant. 240, this 90, it's more than 180, it's less than 270. So it will be in between 180 and 270. That means it's in the third quadrant. Now, in the third quadrant, how do we handle these people? Only tan is positive. So our cos will be negative there. So what we have here is minus cos. Now, in the third quadrant, how do we handle the angles? It will be the angle given minus 180. Okay, we are given 240. So it will be 240 minus 180. And that will give you minus cos. 240 minus 180 is 60. So we are back to our 60. Cos 60 is 0.5, but this is minus cos 60. So it will be minus, then the equivalence of cos 60 is 0.5. So cos 240 degrees is minus 0.5. Okay. That means all we need to do, whatever angle we are given, we will look at it in the view of the first quadrant. You know, in the first quadrant, you have angles between 0 and 90. So you simplify it until it looks like an angle in the first quadrant. But you have to introduce whether it is positive or negative. Then you can easily have your answer. All right, number 3. Cos 300. First thing you consider is where where is it found in the quadrants? 300 degrees. Let's see in the quadrants. This 90, 180, no, it's more than that. 270, it's more than that. 360, it's not up to that. So it's in between 270 and 360. It is in the fourth quadrant. All right. Now in the fourth quadrant, what sign do we give cos? In the fourth quadrant, cos is positive. So it will be positive. You can write the positive or you may not write it. Now, how do we undo the angle in the fourth quadrant? It's always 360 minus theta. 360 minus theta. And the theta given is 300. So it will be 360 minus 300. Then you have plus cos. So you still have plus cos. 360 minus 300 will give you 60. Now you still have your 60. Cos 60 plus cos 60. We know already that cos 60 is 0.5. So 0.5. You may put the plus, you may not put it. You can make it invisible. So that's for that. Let's see another example. This time around, we are thinking about sine 45 degrees. Sine 45 degrees. Now you check it up. Which quadrant do we have 45 degrees? It's in between 0 and 90. It's here. It's within this gap. So it's in the first quadrant. In the first quadrant, any one of them is positive. So we still have sine plus sine. You can make it invisible plus sine. Then what do we do with the angle there? We don't subtract. We use the angle like that. So you have 45. And that will give you sine 45 is 0.7071. You can check it up in your calculator or from your lookup table, 4-figure table. It will give you that. Now let's get to another one. Example 5. Sine 135 degrees. As usual, the first thing to consider, 135 degrees is found in which quadrant? 135. 135. 135. This is more than 135. This is less than. It's in between 90 and 80. That's second quadrant. Okay. 135 is in the second quadrant. So what do we do with second quadrant? Which sign do we give to sine in second quadrant? Sine is positive. Only sine is positive. So you have plus sine. But what do we do with the angle? In the angle, we subtract the angle from 180 in the second quadrant. So 180 minus the angle given, 135. And that gives you plus sine. 180 minus 135 will give you 45. Sine 45 is 0.7071. That's that. Let's see another one finally. We can go on and on. We can go to tangent. We follow the same steps. But let's have a last one. Sine 315 degrees. You find out 315. Where is it found? 315. 315. Okay. This is less than 315, more than 315. So it's found in between. And that will be the fourth quadrant. What do we do with sine in the fourth quadrant? Fourth quadrant, sine is not there. So sine is negative. So minus sine. What do we do with the angle? 360 minus the angle given, 360 minus 315, and that is minus 360 minus 315, and that is minus 360 minus that will give you 45. So what you have there is minus sine 45, already you know, 0.7071. So that is the answer. You can go on and on like that. All right, there are situations where you have a negative value of an angle. You don't just work on it that way. There is what you need to do before you start following these other processes. Now, this would have to turn to tan 360 minus then 216. If you subtract, you have tan 144 degrees. Okay, then you can now follow the real pattern. Tan 144, you find out where in the quadrant is 144 found. If you come to the quadrant, it's not in the first, it's in the second quadrant. And in the second quadrant, only sign is positive. Look at the second quadrant, only sign is positive. So let's go there. 144 is negative. Then that will be the next thing you find out. What do we do with this 144? If it is found in the third quadrant, in the second quadrant I mean, it's going to be 180 minus 144. Okay, 180 minus 144, and that will be minus tan. When you take 144 from 180, you have 36. Then you go ahead to look for tan 36. Let's do it this way. Minus tan 36 will give you 0.7265. All right. That's how to go about that. If you have a negative value for the angle, you subtract that from 360, then you get a positive value. Then that positive value, you now follow the normal steps you have been following. You check out which quadrant do you find it, then you know whether it is negative or positive. For this case, it is found in second quadrant. 144 is found in the second quadrant. This 0 to 90, 90 to 180. 144 is in between 180 and 90, so it's found in the second quadrant. Now, is it negative or positive? Only sign is positive, so our tan will be negative. Then what do we do with the angle? We subtract from 180, and that's what we have done here. It's negative, and we subtract the 144 from 180, we have minus tan 36. Now minus, then you look for the value of tan 36 in the 4-figure table or from a calculator. You are going to have 0.7265 from a calculator. So the answer is minus 0.7265. Mind you, if you use this directly, you are trying to check which quadrant do you find 216. You will find it in the third quadrant. If you find it in the third quadrant and you manipulate it that way, you have to go by the positive way. You use the positive sign for that, and that will make you to have a wrong answer. Your answer will be positive 0.7265, which is not correct. You can try it with your calculator. You see that this is the correct answer. Please remember to click the subscribe button. When you click the subscribe button, you see a bell. Click the bell. When you click the bell, you see all. Click all so that we can always notify you whenever we have tips for you, whenever we are able to solve a difficult problem easily. Thank you for watching.